It is officially the off season, and the original trio is back to go over the breaking news of Joe Thuney being traded to the Chicago Bears. All that and more on the first edition of the 2025 show, Gridiron Gambit.
Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Let's work. Hey.
Well, the end of the 2024-2025 season was not what we all were expecting, but as always, it's time to get back to work. It is the off season. It is the first edition of Gridiron Gambit, and we are your hosts for tonight's live, where the majority of this will be about the breaking news of Joe Thuney being traded to the Chicago Bears. But first things first, guys, it is officially the off season. What do you have to say to the people about what's going on right now and what you have in store for them?
Go ahead.
Man, it ain't too much to say. It's sad. I mean, it's not sad. We cool. We coming off a somber loss, but it's the off season. It's the favorite time of the year, bro. And I love it. It kicked off already a week before the new league year, before free agency opens up. So, hey, it's gonna. I got a lot to say tonight. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs started off with a bang. With the little news that we've been having so far. I mean, off season is off season, and I mean, you see what it's doing. Like, people getting released, you're seeing people getting purged, you're seeing people getting trade requests coming in. It's getting off to a hard start. It's getting kicked off for sure.
No doubt about it. And I know Dale in particular was hoping that the off season could officially start a little closer to the actual league start date. But all these NFL teams, and now in particular our Kansas City Chiefs, have decided, nope, we're starting the off season now. You guys got to start. You got to come back 2 days earlier than you were expecting to. But we're not going to sound ungrateful or complain, because if the Chiefs are already making moves like this, it means that all the concerns we had about what are the Chiefs going to do and do they have a plan for fixing everything, they certainly do if they're willing to make a colossal trade like this happen at this particular time. And without any more hesitation and delay, we will officially bring it up. Joe Thuney has officially been traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Chicago Bears for, yes, you read that right, a 2026 fourth-round pick, a next year's fourth-round pick. They will be netting about $16 million in cap space in return, and unfortunately deading about $11 million in dead cap for this move. We'll kind of go around and do the individual aspects of this trade and the kind of domino effects that it creates. But just to start the show off, what are your initial gut reaction feelings, and what emotions did you have seeing that trade happen? At I think about 8 a.m. Arrowhead time. So we had a lot of time to sit on that. So obviously your opinions and thoughts could change. But what were you feeling sitting there being like, oh, this trade might happen? And then 5 seconds later, it was official. It's happened. And the trade compensation started trickling in.
I mean, my eyes got big just knowing what the Chiefs Kingdom was going to think when coming off of the season that Joe Thuney had and the role that he played going into this off season, and then just the role that he played in the season, during the season, moving from left guard to left tackle, kind of being our saving grace. So I knew it was going to send Chiefs Kingdom into automatic panic mode, but in all reality, I feel like this was just the first chips of many to fall in the Brett Veach plan. We always see this from year to year with him. And when I sat back and thought about it realistically, I'm like, this is a guy coming off of one of his best seasons. as a guard. Not only did he play guard, he played tackle. He showed that he's a Swiss Army knife. He's one of your best offensive linemen, and he's 33 years old. So if you can trade and get any type of compensation for this player, then and maximize his potential, this is the time to do it. And I think the Chiefs did that. So when I came back down to earth, it wasn't so much shocked and big-eyed. It was more like we kind of did what we needed to do in this situation to get cap relief and also take advantage of an aging player and get some possible compensation back. So, and in all reality, all in all, I know Chiefs Kingdom overall is going to be shocked because he like the Chiefs named him MVP of this season. So to trade the MVP of your season, it's going to kind of put a lot of question marks, I feel like, in the heart of Chiefs Kingdom, in the heart of a lot of Chiefs fans, just because they don't really understand how things go and see that the player is aging. They don't see the 33 years old. They just see the all-pro Joe Thuney that played left guard and slid out the tackle and did anything you asked him to do for these past 2 years. So, or past 3 or 4 years. So, hat off to Joe Thuney. I'm happy he got his money. But I know the rest of the world is shocked. But after I came down, I'm like, it was pretty good for the Chiefs. Chiefs got out pretty well, I think.
And I think you got a pretty good take on it, Lonnie, as a rational Chiefs fan. But for those who was like really surprised, like, really, are you surprised? Like, this is nothing brand new. We just literally had this with Tyreek Hill like 3 years ago. And that was, I think, it was more impactful than what we see right now with a guard that is 32 years old and moving on to 33. And let's keep in mind that he has been a cap casualty. We continue to restructure his deal. We were already talking about if we release him, how much dead money would that be on the books? And it was low this year as well too. And it was a potential of that happening. So with that being put out there, once I saw this morning and said, okay, the Chiefs are listening to trade offers from Joe Thuney, I initially said, we were sitting in the group chat. Yeah, he gone. Like, to the point we was like, probably tomorrow, but it was like, yeah, more than likely it's probably happening today because it started really picking up traction very quickly. And one thing I will say about Brett Veach, once it's out there and it's confirmed that we're letting teams call in for offers, he's not playing around. Whatever best deal you come with, they're gone. And they're going, and I'm not going back from it. And I could respect that from being a GM and saying like, yeah, like what I'm about to do, I'm about to prove to y'all again that I picked up some guys off the street, was able to come in, fill in. I'm gonna go ahead and shift this whole offensive line, and we had a back-to-back and went to 3 straight Super Bowls with a potential of having a 3-peat. Yeah, we got blew out, but at the end of the day, it happened. So I'm not mad. I wasn't as surprised. But you know, when we talk about it, it's like what Ray just said in the chat, in the comments. For 2026, I would have been better with a 2025. I would have been happier. Like, okay, we got it now, because who knows, you can maybe package it in a deal with what you're trying to probably look for later on in the offseason as well, too. I think that's, if anything, that should be the biggest gripe. But a pick is a pick. And we know Brett Veach value draft picks. But shout out to Joe Thuney, man. He did what he was supposed to do. He came in, won 2 Super Bowls with us. He has 4 total Super Bowls in his career. We know he's going to be an eventual Hall of Famer. We know that he might, who knows, enter the Ring of Honor for the Kansas City Chiefs as well, too. I think he did his part. And I know for sure that we did not do wrong by him sending him over to the Bears. We sending him over there to a guy that, of course, came from Chiefs Kingdom, Brian Pose, who's their GM over there now. And, you know, they like to he's going to do good business with us. And I feel like it was one of those moves where y'all need an offensive lineman. You're my buddy. We try to get this money off the books, you know, get this going, clear up some cash space. Makes sense. Y'all got a young quarterback. You're trying to mimic what we're doing with Patrick Mahomes because you saw what happened in that area, and you're trying to do that with your own over here with the Chicago Bears. At the end of the day, y'all, it's business. Business is business. If business makes sense on both sides, it's booming and it's going to happen. So let's not think that, oh, because he was a team MVP. At the end of the day, your MVP, what we said when we gave him that contract was Patrick Mahomes. What we say when we go out there, we need a game one, who we always call on, Patrick Mahomes. So remember who we put our money on, who we betted on, and who we always trying to surround a team around. So Joe Thuney, he did his part, and I think we did right by him by going over to a team that's looking to, of course, fight for a playoff spot next year. So I don't think he's going somewhere to die. I think he's going somewhere where he can still have value in his position, but also probably train up the younger guys as well, because we know that they're trying to look for a long-term offensive line for Caleb Williams. But hey, I was cool.
So for me, I teetered back and forth whether it was, surprising because of the kind of respect that they were showing Joe Thuney, naming him basically the MVP of the team, still kind of praising him for the work he did, and kind of just having faith in him to be left tackle in that stretch when he was needed the most. And, his character allowed him to, do that despite him, not being shown in the best light for that decision, like best thing for the team, not for the self kind of choice. But I also understood it because I didn't think that Trey Smith was going to be back, and then the franchise tag, and then, this trade almost kind of basically signals that, yeah, the Chiefs believe in Trey Smith and are willing to pay him that top tier money, just like they were willing to do with Creed last offseason. And, just kind of break those trends, just like we may see Trent McDuffie get paid as a cornerback pretty soon, just because the right player hasn't been around, in this Andy Reid / Brett Veach regime, doesn't mean that a particular player won't get that contract re-signing. So I think that maybe has a factor to it. But, I think to this point, it just came down to Brett Veach is having these signals and alarms go off that, fixing the left tackle is more important right now. And as good of a player that Joe Thuney is, for being more than 30 years old and being almost 20 or almost 30 million actually in a cap hit for this year, I think the writing was kind of on the wall. And I'll follow that up with a question back to you guys, but I'm going to kind of steal it because I want to give my opinion on it first. But it's like, what other contributing factors do you think led Brett Veach and Andy Reid to make this decision to trade Joe Thuney versus that add a couple years long-term extension? And, I was just talking to Shannon a little earlier, and I truly believe that, had the Chiefs done well in this Super Bowl and Joe Thuney was able to hold up just enough, not saying he had to play perfect, but if he could have just done his part and didn't stand out like the entire unit did, but if he could have just stood his ground and Chiefs were able to win that game, I think it's a no-brainer. The Chiefs kind of hand him over a legacy deal, and it's like, you can kind of retire with the Chiefs whenever you'd like, and kind of give him that Kelsey treatment, or maybe the Chris Jones treatment here at the end of his contract. But because the Chiefs did not get the job done, and that kind of embarrassing feeling of losing the Super Bowl, like I said, they rewarded him with being the MVP of the team for the entire season. But they also said, who's more valuable, Joe Thuney or Trey Smith for this year and the future? And Brett Veach decided that the future and long-term decision of giving Trey Smith this amount of money, who's 7 years younger than Joe Thuney, was a wiser decision. But if the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl and Joe Thuney had done his part, I really feel like the Chiefs would have dedicated that legacy contract to him and let him stay on the team for as long as he wanted. But do you guys agree with me on that, or do you think there was any other particular factors why the Chiefs decided to move on?
So what's crazy is I was just talking to Dale about this earlier. No way that was the plan, period. I just don't. I've been hearing people here say that. I've been hearing Nate Taylor came out and said some stuff that just was like totally not correct. I think people were giving hot takes about what they think we're going to happen with the Chiefs. And I think anybody can get up and spew a hot take. I think the plan was always to go with the younger player. It makes no sense to sign an aging player at left guard, whether he's good or whether he's had one of his best seasons or not. yes, you would. If I have to trade Trey Smith and get compensation back, oh yeah, I would. But in this case, I have a left guard that just played one of his best seasons in his career. I think his market is going to be a little bit I'm not going to say more formidable, but the trade is not going to hurt me as much as it would with the player that is 7 years younger. Is likely to be one of the best guards at his position. So, in all reality, it never made sense to sign Joe Thuney just because we won a Super Bowl. That's like saying it's a honeymoon. We were in a honeymoon phase. We were just happy. We like the Eagles now. We won a Super Bowl, so we just gonna sign everybody and give everybody money. You can do that, and you can end up like the Rams. You can end up like the rest of the teams that decided to do that. So I don't think that was ever the plan. I think the plan was always to sign the younger player. It was to get younger, faster, quicker, as it has been for this past couple years in this Brett Veach regime. I don't see the Chiefs. I didn't see the Chiefs re-signing Joe Thuney, especially now seeing how the plan kind of came into fruition. I don't think that was ever in their plans to sign an aging Joe Thuney. I think it was always to try and use him as a trade piece to possibly get compensation back because they wanted to sign Trey Smith because obviously they think he's going to be the next Joe Thuney. So I think that was their plan all along.
You know, and really when you say that, Clinton, it's not that it's like even out of the way. Honestly, that is some honeymoon stuff, right? Like it would make sense because we have done it before when we won our own Super Bowl. We kind of try to retain some of the guys that we had from the previous season and try to run him back. And we saw what happened as well too. You can say it before I finish. Like,
if I can rebuttal, we're about to pay at this point right now because Travis Kelce's contract has not been talked about and being reworked in any way. We're about to give Travis Kelce the most paid money in tight end, and he's this last year retirement. I don't know if his production dignifies the top tier tight end contract, but the Chiefs are not going to tell Travis Kelce he cannot have the money he's earned throughout his entire years of being on the Chiefs.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to answer to that as well too, because I know you wanted to say it because other people been saying that as well. And this is what I've been telling them about. This is what I've been saying. And this is like nothing for Joe Thuney or anything like that, because I actually respect what I'm saying, because if we're going to have an argument about age, then that has to come up. Homegrown. He has been he done everything for the Chiefs. I've been the cheapest, the brokest. I've been cool. I had to go do a dating show. I've been fine. Like, I've been making it. What happened? I reaped the benefits of Super Bowls because I stayed strong. I handled great business, and I did what was best for both sides because I knew I wanted to stay for the Kansas City Chiefs. Thuney been restructuring, so he's been doing what he can for the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think it's a different love. I do think we could put out there that this is a guy where in this regime, he came in with Andy because Andy drafted him when he got here in 2013. He was out that year, then he came back. He been through the years of Alex Smith. He was cold. Like he was getting compared to Brock around that time as well too. I stayed with the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't even give me a big enough bag. Stay with the Kansas City Chiefs. He been doing good business. If everybody, this is the main thing everybody been saying too. He's one guy where it don't matter. He deserve it, retirement or not. Give him what he deserved because he's the reason why where we at right now, matching him with Patrick Mahomes. So when I say this, it's just I think when it comes to it, you was with the Patriots first. You held us back too, bro. I'm glad you was able to come over, sign over. It's all love, but it was strictly business at the end of the day. And it saved $16 million in cap space. It saved enough. And with Travis Kelce, that's why they gave him they basically told him you need to make a decision within a month. Once that came out, he made a decision within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. He know how the Kansas City Chiefs rock. He been with us since how long? Come on, 2013. He know what we go about, what we don't play about. He's like, all right, I need to tell him what's up now. I'm in my feelings, but it's time for me to wake up and say, hey, I'm coming back next season ready to go. Right. Because they did right by me all them years. I'm gonna do that. Let them know quick. We're gonna get back to business, get back to work. But I feel you. It can go both ways. But at the end of the day, business.
I get that. And I wasn't saying that was for sure it, but I think
Right.
it would have allowed a better taste. And then maybe Joe Thuney as well would have said, maybe I don't need to make top of the market guard money at 30 plus years old. I will continue to restructure because I want to keep winning Super Bowls.
Right.
But
See,
because of
this,
that and the embarrassment of the Super Bowl, it's like, yeah, maybe a fresh start and a fresh scene will do some good.
yeah, but I just want to say this about Travis, the Travis situation too. Everybody's giving hot takes. Here's mine. I think Travis is he knows he has to restructure. I watched New Heights today, and just seeing how he talks, he knows. They know the cap situation. They know how much money is on the books. They know who's due up next, who needs to be paid. I don't question that Travis won't come back to the table and restructure so the Chiefs can get more money, just like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb have done. So I don't have a shadow of a doubt that Travis won't be coming back, and we won't be getting any update from Ari Miro or any of those guys about Travis probably going back to the table and restructuring. So I think just based off of what I've seen, just in New Heights, body language, all stuff that I've read and looked into, I'm gonna say he's gonna restructure.
Yeah. Well, we shall see in the coming weeks if that news starts coming down the pipeline. We also should expect to see a Patrick Mahomes restructure and the money that comes from that contract as well. But none of those moves are happening right now. Only the news that we're talking about today about Joe Thuney being traded. You went ahead and mentioned the $16 million saved up. Before we talk about our feelings about the particular draft choice that was the compensation received, do you have any kind of inclinations about what the Chiefs are going to do this free agency and what shots you think they're going to take, and how they plan on keeping the players they got now or finding a, say, left tackle, for instance, that can come in and be a contributor?
This is gonna be wild, and Chiefs fans might be mad, but this might be the most realistic thing. What me and the fellas talked about a little bit earlier as well too. When we was chatting, y'all might be mad with Kingsley, left guard, DJ Humphries back at left tackle, and he said he wanted to come back for a full season. Now, a lot of people could argue for Ronnie Stanley, but we hearing even noise about that with him being injury prone and with him up in age as well too. I can get that. If we're going to use an excuse of trading Joe Thuney because of age, we have to use that same complaint for Ronnie Stanley. The only reason why I will say not DJ Humphries to assist, because he did come to us in the middle of the season and he did say he want to come back to the Chiefs and show what he can do for the entirety of the season. I don't know what we can do in the draft, because once it comes to 10 to 35, they said, it's not really that much. Where's the difference? We always talked about how much would it take for us to get up to the top 10, and we don't think that can happen. I think we make some realistic choices and some decisions right now and think about what we can work with. But, man, Clinton, that might be the move that people don't want and like, but it might be it.
Yeah, like he said, I could. That's what everybody's saying. Stanley, if not Stanley, DJ Humphries. I don't know what it looks like for the Chiefs to get to where they need to get to. I do know that they did acquire a 4th round 2026 pick. I don't know. I just thought a little bit about this just later in the day. I don't know if they use that to try and get compensation to move up into the draft now. So because that is a Bears 26 4th round pick. You don't know how good the Bears will be. We don't know what it looks like yet, but I can see them packaging something together or trying to go get somebody using that pick or just using some picks that they have. So I don't know. I love Ronnie Stanley, but like they said, the best ability is availability. So Ronnie Stanley has had a problem being available with the Ravens. So I think The Chiefs need to try and just weigh their options at that position. We want somebody that's not going to be in and out. We want somebody that's going to be able to constantly play that position, game in and game out. So whether it be trading up for someone, whether it be going to get Ronnie Stanley, whether it be looking into the situations like Cam Robinson, or whether it be going to get DJ Humphries, I feel like they have to find someone that answer the bell there at that position, at that left tackle position. They have to get some answers. So I don't know what it looks like, but I'm hoping that this is enough money to go get Ronnie Stanley. But they talking about $91 million. That can get kind of outrageous. I know, especially like Dale said, for an aging player. So, and this is definitely going to be a stopgap. Whoever it is going to just hold the place until we can find somebody to really solidify the position. So, unless that person is coming in on a 3 or 4 year deal or trying to just like Ronnie Stanley getting a deal to end his career. So, I don't know what it looks like, but that's why I'm depending on Veach, and Veach we trust to see what answers he comes up with. But I'm thinking it might be coming from the draft.
I think for me at this point, I'm leaning into the Cam Robinson deal, and I'm not, particularly thrilled about it. But I think if the Chiefs can just get like a mid-teens tackle for a couple years and get, maybe the tackle that falls to 31 that everyone's hoping happens anyway, but that doesn't always happen, and you need that stopgap solution. And you would also return Jawan Taylor back to his familiarity of having the same guy on the other side to kind of bridge what that pocket size is. Do all three of us pretty much agree that because of this move and Joe Thuney and basically choosing to get the cap space back, we think for sure that Trey Smith is going to be on this Chiefs team long term? A long-term deal is going to get done within this offseason. Are we like pretty sure about that?
I don't know about this offseason. We know what we saw with Chris Jones, so I wouldn't be surprised. But depending on how it is, what they saying projected with that 5-year, $90 million deal, it's a lot. But they typically try to figure things out like that, and I feel like for you to go ahead and put him on a franchise tag, you want to prove that if you're going to overspend or even spend this money, that you're going to be worth it. Did he prove that already? He could argue that he could have, but we saw what happened in the Super Bowl as well too. So we want to see that get back. I want to see that get back in the game this season as well against the Eagles. Now we are able to go ahead and get that extension, and it makes sense for the team. Get it done. It's a possibility there. I feel like if they placed it on him for a reason, they feel like they can get it done. But I'm not surprised if he does not. We seen it with Chris Jones.
Yeah, same here. Wouldn't be surprised if the contract doesn't get done and this just lingers on a little bit. Brad Veach hasn't been the best with giving out money. He's not just quick to sign a check. He is not Howie Roseman. He is not those guys, Brandon Bean. He's none of those other guys that you've seen that's just willing to shell out money. His contracts are going to be well thought out. Even though that you may be the highest player at your position, we know they'll be heavily incentivized. There won't be a lot of upfront money usually, but in this case, we know he's going to have to match or at least somewhat get a great guarantee number to set the market for the rest of the guards to come after him. So it's going to be a long way to the mountaintop. We don't know how they're getting there. We don't know how quick, but I'm pretty sure, I don't have a doubt that they're not trying to get there, especially with them moving away from Joe Thuney. We know that Trey Smith is now has become a priority at that offensive guard position, being that they lost their best guard, and they don't want a ton of question marks, two or three more question marks on the offensive line. So they're going to get the deal done. I just don't know how long it's going to take. I don't want to put a timetable on this, being what we've seen with Chris Jones.
Fair enough, and I think I agree with you guys. This signals the Chiefs are dedicated to bringing Trey Smith back. It's whether or not how much Trey Smith is willing to play ball, and then as the timelines start to shrink, we see whichever sides start to bend just a little bit. But I think that at this point, that move allowed the Chiefs to be able to have a little bit of money and have Trey Smith on the franchise tag if necessary, but if and when the Chiefs do get a long-term deal done with Trey Smith, that will actually pocket them more money to spend in free agency, along with the other restructures that may or may not happen with Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones and things like that, that would allow even more money to be brought back in cap space and would potentially allow the Chiefs to bring back some of those defensive players who were kind of on the bubble, whether or not they return or whether or not their leadership in Spagnuolo's locker room was enough to, warrant an expensive contract to bring them back. So, I guess, do you guys feel like Trey Smith will do enough to earn that highest paid contract once again? I mean, do we really need Trey Smith to prove it one more year after he's already proven it 4 years enough?
Like Dale said, that showing against Jalen Carter, it goes, and I might be pushing it, and y'all might say, "Whoa," but I think it goes Chris Jones and it goes Jalen Carter. Trey Smith plays an interior offensive line position. Joe Thuney might have lucked up just because he wasn't playing inside that day, and he might not have been the person that got the good. They might not have been. He might not have been the number one on their list either, because they got to go. They're gonna have to go through Jalen Carter to get to wherever they need to be. So, I think that might have been a reason too. The market might not have been as big just because, yeah, you're younger, but that means you should be able to handle somebody like that inside a little bit better than what you did. And he had a field day with all of those interior linemen. So I think if anything, that might be a little question mark that it's just holding them a little bit, maybe holding things back a little bit. When you get somebody in there that's kind of that freakish athletic guy, and you're on that island, we need you to hold your own, Trey Smith. We're going to expect that, but we're going to expect that Trey Smith can be better than that because we've seen him do some outlandish, crazy athletic things too, like roll run guys and then blast 3 guys and then move somebody out the way, get up, hit his. You seen the screen that got called back against the Ravens, the phantom holding call. I just remember Trey Smith was making some outrageously good blocks and Rashee Rice cribbing the screen in the AFC Championship. So it's like we just seen him do some great stuff too. So. But I think there is some question marks there still.
I mean, it's question marks, but he can get paid. I mean, he could. I don't think a lot of people will argue as much, just because, I mean, you would have that right side of the ball locked up. But at the same time, we know that I think what's stopping Veach and that front office is they're not trying to do what, what's my guy name? Get all the talent in the world, bad contracts. John Dorsey. I think, after experiencing what they had with him and with him, he took the risk and just gave contracts to those great players, but health, injuries. And you got to keep in mind, too, even though Trey Smith has been fine, he did have a medical that dropped him to the 6th round when we drafted him a while back as well. So, when moving forward, they got to make the right decision. And I think that's why Veach, he doesn't shy away from just taking his time and being like, okay, let's go ahead and sit on this for a minute. And then if it comes out to what we predicted to be, we're going to go ahead and pay them that money. So I think all in all, they made the right decision. They're going to figure it out. Now, if they can, that number, they always give us a number, right? They always give us a number. He's projected for this. They hear that number that they projected for this. They're going with a lower number than that if they can. And if they could extend it over years where you can get that number, but we're not giving it out flat out up front where it's a big cap hit and we got to suffer that each year when it comes to this time of the year, right? So they got it. I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to be able to make something work, but I don't think he's going to refuse playing on the franchise tag as well, especially with him being drafted by us. And this is something that's common for players who has played within that organization, drafted within that organization. Okay, I'll go ahead and play on this tag. I'm going to prove it to you this year, but I need that bag next year. I don't think with the Cincinnati Bengals where we're playing with T. Higgins for 2 straight years on the franchise tag.
See, and but look, this is my thought too. I'm about the tag though. And isn't the tag one of the highest in the league? So the
Or
question,
T. Higgins?
well, for Trey Smith, isn't like wouldn't he be like one of the highest paid guard in the league on that franchise tag right now?
I'm not
it was
sure.
something like
I
that.
think at this point, Trey Smith would make more than $23 million a year.
I think he was at like 25.
So I'm just saying I would think that the Chiefs wouldn't want him to play on the tag, you know, being that it's all of that guaranteed
If
money.
they place it on him, if they place it on him, that means you're fine with him playing on the tag if you did it. Now, do you want to get the extension done so that cap hit is not as great, and then you can get some back for this year within this offseason as well? You can, but when you place it on somebody, you're basically saying like, "Hey,
all right." So to piggyback, yes, Trey Smith would be the highest paid guard, at least per salary wise. Right now, the highest paid is Landon Dickerson from the Philadelphia Eagles at averaging $21 million a year. So I don't think the Chiefs are going to want to go into the season paying $23 million if he's younger. It's like, hey, let's negotiate you back down to like 20, and that still puts you like tied for a top 3, like within top 5 in the league.
That's cool that you don't want to, but you placed him on that.
Well, no, yeah,
you didn't trade him to the team that more than likely he would have been traded to. You're basically saying, I'm okay with doing this.
Well,
is it smart? No.
Lonnie, give your point.
I think what me and Clinton are saying is that the Chiefs are putting themselves in a situation to where they have to negotiate with Trey.
Yes,
Smith
they are.
and get something done. Like you have to.
You better.
And, if not, it's gonna be like you're gonna put yourself in a bad.
It's that chance that he don't care though. That's the thing.
And all that being said, if the Chiefs wanted to trade Trey Smith, especially to the Bears, they would have warranted back a lot better draft choice than the draft choice that was received for this Joe Thuney trade, being a 2026 4th-round pick. Obviously, Joe Thuney is a little older. I think the consensus is we're a little upset this pick is not happening in this current draft. But what are your guys' thoughts about the draft compensation the Chiefs netted for Joe Thuney in this trade?
I mean, it's not anything we can see right now. It's something that we won't be able to tell until later in the future, unless we use that draft pick for compensation in this upcoming draft or for a player in this upcoming season. So it's something that we won't be able to see until 2026 in the 4th round. So it's just something that it's hard to explain to regular Chiefs fans that it's a future type deal and that the Chiefs kind of actually got the best out of this player. He's a 33-year-old player, and they have to give him a brand new contract. We weren't going to be able to get a 1st-round pick for him or a 2nd-round pick, and they usually don't give that for guards unless they're like super duper young, like Trey Smith. So it was what I expected. I wanted, like Dale said, you wish it was a 2025, and you can see the result right now, but it's just not gonna. That's not how it's gonna work with a 33-year-old player, and you have to pay him too. So we weren't fleecing the Bears. So people are going to think that we got fleeced, but I think we got what we could.
Yes, 33 old. That's it. That's all I got on that. I mean, I get it. I get it. Like, I get it. It's just
you think it was the best case scenario.
I mean. You talking about franchise tagging Trey Smith or the
4th round pick. Is that the best pick that Veach could receive? I mean, with the Bears, and you think maybe there's still dysfunction.
People.
So maybe it's a 100 pick because of compensatory formula.
You know what? Let me put this out here. People thought we was going to get 3 1st-round picks for Tyreek Hill. We only got 1. People thought that people thought that. That trade with the Raiders and the Packers, they thought that they was going to get multiple 1st-round picks. They did not. They didn't even give him enough, and they gave him a fat contract. Like, I think people, live in the moment sometimes. They don't understand that that's not how business works. I mean, you can go for the top of the top, But the team is not trying to get top of the top. They're not trying to give up top of the top. So if they're not trying to do that, and that player is, if they have these negatives to where it's like, bro, we're not doing that, and every other team is saying the same thing, you're going to come back to the table and talk about something reasonable. Like eventually we was able to get DeAndre because, bro, we're not about to pay you all that money. But we are going to give up a 5th round pick for you in the trade and take the rest of that contract that ain't nothing when it comes available. It's chess, y'all. It's not checkers. So, at the end of the day, how they manipulate and go about it. And I feel like I'm not running around the question as well, too, for real. But yeah, I think he really got the best what he could. Like, I think what the Bears said, you know what? We are really kind of going out our way to be like, you know what? Let's go get this guy who's going to turn 33 next year. We saw him get beat up at left tackle a little bit or held his own, but we know that he's an all-pro left guard, and he's been a part of championship teams. He's a 4-time Super Bowl winner, and we need that type of leadership and those type of accolades on this roster for the Bears. So they probably was like, you know what? We're going to sell on that like that. And the Chiefs was like, okay, well, he's worth that. We're fine with losing that. I'm like, okay, that 4th round pick next year, who knows? Another Trey Smith might fall two rounds less to us at another position that's on the offensive line. Who knows? Like, let's go ahead. The Chiefs are known for taking those risks, and I think that's why you seen the success that they have coming up now. Now, I know in the chat they want to talk about, you're talking about the losing team. It's not the Eagles chat, bro. You came on here to talk to me and my buddies about the Chiefs. Boy, get that together. So, you ready? Clean. I'm ready for it to get cracking. Let's talk about the real. Let's get into it.
So my thoughts about the 4th round pick compensation. I think this is probably the best that Brett Veach could have netted. We know that Brett Veach is, okay taking a deferred draft pick the following year if he thinks that it's kind of a trade of value. So nobody can say this 4th round pick is going to be fantastic, but the Chiefs have turned a next year's 2nd, a next year's 3rd, a next year's 4th into players that are notable for this roster. So I think that Brett Veach believed, this is probably the best case he could get, even though, Joe Thuney did not look the best in the Super Bowl. He arguably did have as much value as he was ever going to have. We showed off some versatility. Hey, you're right. He has this championship pedigree to him. So why not bring him in? Yes, he may be on the older side, but he can add some leadership. He can kind of mentor a young, wild quarterback behind him and hopefully allow us to be competitive. And if you have to wait a year to be able to use that draft choice, I think Brett Veach was willing to make that sacrifice, knowing that $16 million was probably going to be necessary for whatever needed, in order to get the rest of the necessary roster moves cleared up. And, that leaves us to basically the last, Samoan in the room, shall we say, about this conversation, in that, we were talking, before a couple weeks ago, that are they going to let Kingsley immediately go to guard? Are they still going to be willing to try him at tackle? At this point, I think we all pretty much agree he is set to be Joe Thuney's replacement. He got to play a little bit of left guard in that Week 18 game, the Broncos game. That was throwaway. But what are your thoughts about what this signals that the Chiefs are kind of giving Kingsley this free reign next year to prove that he could be at least an NFL guard if they thought that left tackle experiment failed as miserably and quickly as it ended up doing?
Yeah, so I think he excels at the guard position, or at least gets in there and gives him a better showing than what he did at tackle. A little less space to work with. We've seen that with Mekhi Becton in the Super Bowl, actually. played tackle all for the Jets for those past couple years. It really just kind of never materialized at the tackle position. Went on to the Eagles. And they moved him inside to guard. And had a tremendous season going on to win a Super Bowl. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kingsley is able to have a wonderful season and able to come in and actually be serviceable, a little bit more serviceable than Caliendo, knowing that he's a bigger body. You putting a bigger guy at the guard position. I'm kind of building like a big wall in front of Patrick Mahomes. You're getting some big cats out there now moving to tackle the guard. So I like the move. I think it'll kind of work to supplement for what we're going to miss with Joe Thuney, because it's definitely going to be somewhat of a drop off. It shouldn't be that big of a drop off. You hope not. But let's just see if Kingsley Suamataia can work better with a little bit less space and get some more help inside. Have somebody like Creed that he can rely on, have somebody else, whoever they're able to get there at that left tackle position that he can rely on without having to work with out there on the island and be on his own one-on-one. So I like the move for Kingsley Suamataia. I don't know if he's the day one starter at the guard position. I think that the Chiefs are going to have great competition there, even probably get Wanya Morris to look there. So I like it for the Chiefs. I like their options at the position, but Kingsley is probably going to definitely get a crack. How good he's going to be, I don't know.
Bro, I can't help the comments, bro. This is wild in here. They do not care, bro. Oh, this is wild. No, but my take on this, bro. Kingsley at left guard, I'm cool with it. We talked about it earlier. Just overall with, I want to see just that overtowering, that those big body linemen. You know what I'm saying? I want the line to be beefy. I want them to be like, this is a force to be waking with. With what's going on. I think Kingsley can provide that, and it's going to clear up a lot of spacing for him as well too, especially with it being limited, and of course playing from the outside as well too. It can be a lot harder because the pass rusher got a lot of space to work with, right? So if putting him into that guard position, he is better within the run blocking game as well too. I think that will help him elevate a lot more. But within the pass game, he'll be able to have a lot more space to work with. And at times, depending on how the pass blocking is built and how it's set up, at times when you're the guy who's in that middle, you can pass it off to guy to the left, depending on where you out to the outside, and depending on how much of a dog you are. Trey Smith got it in his bag with how he just punches guys and they go over to Creed Humphrey. And if he can be able to, of course, embody that and be able to be impactful within that, we didn't see guys like Mekhi Becton who come from went from left tackle, go into guard, and guess what? He was a part of the Super Bowl winning Eagles on this roster right there. So if we are able to get that out of him, that's still a win for the Kansas City Chiefs, even though it was a second round pick. We got to remember it was a second round pick too. I mean, it's not the first round. First round, you can always hit or miss on those, right? And it's for any other round as well, too. So I think with that, at the same time, I always look at those guys within that first 4 rounds. Those are guys that should, if can, make the 53-man roster. So if he's able to make the 53-man roster and play in that guard position, and it's going to help the Kansas City Chiefs be successful moving forward, and somebody where we can fill up now 4 spots for that line, and then hopefully left tackle is figured out by the season start, I'm confident. I think it'll work out well. We got to give them a chance. We talked about it early. We gave up too early on him last year in the second half. In the second half of the week 2 game against the Bengals. So give him another shot. We saw he did pretty well against different Broncos when he played that guard, and then they had DJ Humphries out at left tackle. Maybe this could be the new role for him moving forward, and I'm fine with
that. Agreed. And we have to kind of remember that when he was taken in the second round, the other players taken around him, I think, were all guards except for the guy who got taken by the Ravens, who I think is playing right tackle. So it wasn't necessarily a spot where left tackle was a strong point. So, who's to say whether the Chiefs were willing to kind of use him at guard as a, backup plan if the left tackle experiment was a colossal failure in their eyes, or whether or not they're just the other NFL teams or scouts who said, I think Kingsley's fit in the NFL is better suited at guard. And now, those pundits are proven right. But in any case, the Chiefs are going to want to get some use out of their second round pick. It'd be one thing if it was like a fifth round pick and he's, kind of struggling to make it at left tackle. They may give him a few shots and let him continue to learn or on a practice squad or something. But when you're a second round pick, you have to be able to contribute on this team. And I think, maybe later into last season, they decided that Kingsley's best contributing factor would be at guard. And maybe it would have been a case of if Kingsley's better as a right guard, maybe Joe Thuney is the one that ends up staying. But in any case, the Chiefs have decided that he's got to do the best thing for the long term for the Chiefs, which is trade away Joe Thuney and potentially keep Trey Smith. And, we can keep speculating what's the left tackle situation, and we're all going to be, talking about that up until and through this draft season when all this stuff's getting figured out. But what are your guys' final thoughts about this Joe Thuney trade and how it sets the Chiefs up for the start of the league, new league year next week?
Yep, reset the money. Got some money, new money in, old money out. Time to get some new bodies in this door to get our offensive line back functioning so we can get a compatible quarterback back there so we can stop turning the ball over and giving it away to the other team. So whatever it takes. And this is just a domino in the many that are going to come to fall for the Chiefs. So, like I said, new money in, old money out.
Yeah. It was it's cool. I'm excited to see what happens. Just it shows you that it's the start of a new era for next season. It's gonna look different. That's basically what they telling us with this move right here. It's gonna look different, and I want to see what different looks like. I'm interested to see what type of moves they're gonna make. So I'm glad this happened about a week before. I'm glad it happened about a week before, of course, so we can see what's going on, see how that's done, see how we can work out with that. So now let's see what else we can do, what other moves we can make to go ahead and feed off that and be ready to go. But we like to make noise early on in that tampering period. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, hopefully not getting in trouble for it anymore. But that has been our show. And of course, before we go, I got to go ahead and plug our stuff. So make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to leave a like or a comment, hopefully one that has nothing to do with unrelated stuff like our appearances, hopefully related to the Chiefs or NFL talk. We want to get you guys involved in the conversations. If you listen to us on Spotify, thanks, and give us a 5-star review. Maybe you'd like to check out our Substack. If you thought the off season, that means there's no more content coming. We've actually got a couple of series that will be dropping here next week, and I believe we're going to be announcing that next week as well. So I'm not leading you on, but you will get an announcement about that. But make sure to subscribe to our Substack. That will be on our paid Substack, $5 a month. You're definitely not going to want to miss that out. Maybe you also want to pick up a t-shirt. We've got some t-shirts for sale. Go ahead and hit us up in the links in the description. And, we'd love to get that set out to you. With all that being said, I don't got anything else to plug, which means that is all we have tonight. We hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are taking in this Joe Thuney news well. And that means it's officially the off season. It's time to focus on the future and the future of the Chiefs. And that is all the time that we have. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great evening. And as always, go Chiefs.
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion. So please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom Media.